City of Stars, Are You Shining Just for Me? Today, we're talking about a movie that transcends greatness with two of the greatest actors who've ever lived, two of the most charismatic human beings on the planet, and a film that is beautifully looking, beautifully acted, beautifully sung, everything. Today we're talking about the Warren Beatty's pick for the 2016 Best Picture, La La Land, starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
I think they should do that at the Oscars every year. Just have Warren Beatty say what he thinks should win.
Yeah.
I think he's earned that.
I don't mean to interrupt, but La La Land was the best movie.
So, La La Land. Kind of a love story, but more about people following their dreams. Let's start with that opening sequence.
It's a great opening sequence.
Right? The thing that always comes to mind when I'm looking at that opening sequence is how long did they have to shut down part of the highway in Los Angeles?
I could only get in my head. I'm like, this is a cute little number for a musical. In real life, I would be angry.
Yeah.
I would be like, stop dancing on my car. What do you do?
Well, I'm sure your car wouldn't have been in there.
Probably not. It's got bird poop on it right now, so no,
Well,
it's not.
I'm sure that
picturesque.
every car that was on that strip was part of the
course,
scene.
Of course, but still.
But like, can you imagine like being on your way to work or something and being like, oh, although I guess, I mean, you lived in LA.
What's
Are
going
they?
on up there? You
Is
see
it
a
like?
bunch of people
Are there
dancing?
always streets just like closed because of filming?
Honestly, not that I really recall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So not as much as I think.
Yeah, probably not as much as you think.
I think it's just traffic.
Yeah.
Awful.
Just people.
Just terrible, awful traffic of LA. Yeah.
Also, Emma Stone, sorry, not Roberts, sorry, Emma Stone.
Wow.
There's a lot of Emma. It's just like there's a lot of Chris's in Hollywood, there's a lot of Emmas. Apologize. Emma Stone deserved to get flipped off by that. Deserved to get honked at.
Oh, yeah.
Because I realized the scene where they revisit that scene, the amount of space, she was like reading something and cars were moving. I was like, you deserve that.
Oh yeah, no, and
Yeah.
she
Like,
recognizes
no.
it too. Because afterwards she's just like, "Oh come on," and she's like, "I should go."
She
Yeah.
like flips him
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, ma'am. No.
No, you can't show weakness in traffic.
No.
Yeah.
No, she made the correct call, but
She
True,
did.
I get very upset.
She did. Yeah.
But she's self-aware enough to know, like,
Wow.
oh crap, I should be moving here.
You make it sound like it's a battlefield.
It
was
is.
a
Well, it
battlefield.
is.
Traffic is a battlefield.
That kind of traffic, it's a battlefield. And if she's not moving, it's like,
Yeah.
You get left behind.
Yeah. You ever
Yeah.
had to merge onto the
get out
hutch?
of here.
Yes.
I don't really go on
Yeah.
the highway.
It's fend
Yeah,
for yourself.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I see space. I'm going.
Yeah.
And,
And it's good luck,
yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
See you on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and LA is notorious for their horrible, horrible traffic.
Well, they
Yeah.
mentioned
Adding
that a few
roads, not
times
just
in the
get more
film.
traffic.
Yeah.
Like they talk
Yeah.
about the traffic. They mentioned it a few times
Yeah.
in the film itself.
So, like our last movie, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, this was also. Now, is the terminology filmed in CinemaScope?
yes. However, this isn't real CinemaScope.
Oh, it's not.
No, it was. They used anamorphic lenses to make it look like CinemaScope.
Interesting.
Actual CinemaScope had the stupidest process ever, where I'm pretty sure this is CinemaScope. I might be wrong. If I am, come at me. Where it was
Heard
like
it here.
3 cameras side by side, and they sort of
yeah.
just like melded the images together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a really insane process, but yeah. Here, it was just used. They just used anamorphic lenses to get it to the same aspect ratio.
Wow, interesting.
And yeah, this was shot on 35mm film.
And it looked beautiful. I mean,
Yes.
the colors were vibrant. And then this time I really noticed the camera movements quite a bit. I mean, the camera just moves in crazy ways.
It
That
is so glidey. I
Yeah.
don't know how he pulled it off.
Yeah. And it really, we talked about this earlier. It made me think of Sam Levinson, and he has some amazing shots in Euphoria, and but the fact that I guess he has no.
It all comes back to
I
Euphoria.
was just thinking that.
It's always about Euphoria.
You gotta start bringing
Everything's
things
about
back to
Euphoria.
Twilight.
But he has no, what's it called, a shot list.
He runs a terrible set, and
Yeah.
he's unprepared.
So like these beautiful shots are happening without really much direction, but Damien Chazelle, you can tell, is just like meticulous with everything he does. And seeing other movies that he's done, you can tell he's meticulous about things.
Yeah, and it looks like the cinematographer for this came back for First Man and Babylon, so
Yeah.
he's got a friend there.
Yeah, and Justin Hurwitz also did the music for this, First Man, and Babylon. So Chazelle sticks with some of the same crew members.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I was curious. I'm sure there are a lot of references to films in this film.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So, Joe, as the resident film expert, can you confirm?
Yeah, two of the biggest things he pulls from, and he openly admits, are two Jacques Demy musicals, who was a French filmmaker in the 60s, made a musical as sort of pulling from a lot of 50s Hollywood stuff. But yeah, Umbrellas of Cherbourg and Young Girls of Rochefort.
Oh, so
And-
we're gonna be seeing one of the movies that
Yes.
you've picked that this draws inspiration from.
Yes, and
That's cool.
you can definitely see it in his approach to color here,
Okay.
everything being very stylized and saturated, and choreography as well, how like people kind of go in and out of dancing and just like casual movement. Yeah. And a lot of storyline stuff is sort of taken from Umbrellas of Cherbourg,
Okay.
especially that ending with them sort of having a chance meeting and departing. That's
Okay.
yeah.
What I liked, and I was talking with Lou about this, were the moments in the film when, like the expression when like the world just disappears and it's only you and that person. And there were so many beautiful moments like that in the film where everything just fades out, it becomes black, and it's just the spotlights on her and him, and how like when you're in love with a person, like they're the only one in your world or in your field of vision at the time. So I liked the way that's represented. I also liked when Sebastian is walking on the bridge and he finds the hat, like that sort of magical moment, and when he sees the couple and he starts dancing with them, and I like how the husband taps him and then like and they just start dancing in the background. Like it was just, it kind of made the city seem more magical and unreal
Yeah.
in those moments. Like you're really entering a magical world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
it's-
the command over lighting for
Yeah.
that stuff is crazy, especially
Yeah.
because it's just like I don't know how you pulled half of it off considering it's filmed outdoors.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you, and that's, like, I guess also, I don't know, Joe, if you would, like, agree with me or not, but, like, that whole, with the world fading away and it's
Yeah.
just the two couple, you can see, I don't know if the director drew on this at all, but, like, in Singing in the Rain, when Gene Kelly's character is professing his feelings for Debbie Reynolds' character, they're in a soundstage, and he sets the mood essentially, but they're the only ones in the soundstage that are dancing and singing together. So it's that's on those scenes. That's what that reminds me of.
One of the Amazon facts was that that he also was inspired by Singing in the Rain.
That's what I
Yes.
heard. So I
Part of
wasn't
it.
sure if it was like that.
Sing in the Rain, Broadway Melody of 1940, The
Yeah.
Bandwagon, and American in Paris are some big ones as
Yeah.
well.
Another Gene Kelly classic.
I also liked the planetarium scene when they
Observatory. I'm
Observatory,
sorry.
sorry.
I told you planetarium, and then I was like, that didn't sound right when I said
Observatory.
it. Yeah.
And they just start floating in the sky and they're dancing and they become silhouettes.
Yeah.
You know, it was like those kinds of shots that were very pretty.
Yeah.
And also I liked Sebastian's old world feel to like the way he's dressing.
Yeah.
At first when I saw the opening scene, I thought it was like a period piece. I was like, "Oh, okay, it's not." But I liked his style.
Yeah.
And even like the car that he drives
Same. I love that car.
is very retro.
Yeah.
But and I also mentioned the opening scene where she's talking. Like I didn't realize she's reading her lines,
Yeah.
and then I thought that was so well done. And then it goes back and she's and it's it's the same exact, because the way Emma Stone does it seems like she's naturally talking to someone like you would. So yeah.
So that audition that she goes on, where the coffee spilled on her right at the beginning, that was actually, I forget whether it was her or Ryan Gosling, but one of them had an audition just like that, and that wasn't in the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Damien Chazelle liked it so much that he was like, we have to add that in. So it was like in the middle of a really intense scene. One of them was crying during it, and then somebody walked in and to get a lunch order or something like that. And then, so that had actually, I forget which actor they said it happened to in real life, but so that
That's
was
interesting.
Yeah, not something that was in the original script, but they thought it was
added
just
it in.
funny.
And this may sound like a silly question, but is it really like that when she's on the studio grounds and there's all these like sets and people walk, like, is it? Oh, is it?
Yeah,
really?
more or less.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't think it's that active, but like, you know, but like,
okay.
yeah, I mean, that's, they just have sets around and stuff like that. It's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would think that.
Order.
I mean, I would think that it was more like that in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s before CGI actually really became more used in movies, because all you need then is like a green screen or a blue screen, and you just put out all the props and the well, not all the props, but like at least the set pieces if you're not working on an actual location that requires sets.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I wondered if it was.
No, yeah, they still get a lot of use out of the studio lots. The Warner lot's a fun tour if you're ever in LA. You get to,
okay.
yeah.
I bet it is a fun tour.
Yeah.
And filmmakers, please, didn't this look so much nicer
Oh, yeah.
than like, you know, Captain America? You know, like
Yeah.
like I'm sorry, but Marvel, come on. Everyone, let's film real stuff now. Let's get back to real movie making.
Ooh.
To bring it back to Euphoria, I do think
Yes.
like a new 35mm lab had to be opened for season 2 of Euphoria. So
Awesome.
I because we were running out of actual celluloid for a long time.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
Yeah.
The magic of Euphoria. It really is just a.
It's a gift that keeps on
It
giving.
really is. It really is. So let's start with talking about the music,
The music was great.
right?
Yeah, it really fit with the feel and the theme of the movie. And when I first saw this movie, I knew Ryan Gosling was going to just smash it out of the park because he's a former musketeer,
Oh yeah.
and he knows how to sing and dance and do all of that stuff. And I was pleasantly surprised about Emma Stone's talent in this movie.
Agreed.
I was reading a review where they were saying that they wish they would have actually got like Broadway stars because they're saying that neither of the actors could sing or dance.
That was a critique I remember hearing
Yeah.
a lot back then too. Was that they said that their singing was kind of weak,
Yeah,
and I was like,
could tell.
I was like, I guess like they're because they're not singers, but I remember when I saw it, for me it didn't detract
No.
from it. But I know that there were people that were like livid. There were people that were like they can't sing at all, and I'm like that's not true.
I mean, I personally didn't care for their parts in singing. It grew on me as the movie kind of went on, but I still didn't think it was like the best singing in the world.
Agreed.
But didn't make me angry. I was like,
Agreed.
these people don't know how to sing. They're not professionally trained,
Right.
like, you know,
Broadway
Broadway singers,
stars.
and this is very like Broadway musically, you know, done tunes.
Yeah.
I was like, but Emma Stone, I think, made up for it with the fact that she knew where her range was, which was the lower toned ones, more like the whispery toned.
Yeah.
Versus Ryan Gosling, which I was like, it is what it is, and I think it adds more to the realism to the movie.
Yeah, I think they're
And that's what I
charismatic
didn't
enough
make
to
me mad.
sell it as part of the
Yeah,
character.
that was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not expecting every actor to sing. It's like people got mad during Les Mis when they thought Russell Crowe. You know, to be fair, the music of Les Mis is very difficult.
Yeah.
That song itself, it's like no one's gonna be like the Jean Valjean from like the Anniversary movie. I think he was the best, the one where they
Yeah.
just got on stage.
That
It's like,
cast is
that
stacked.
man
The 80s
was no, not the 80s.
the 25th anniversary, because
Yeah.
there's two of them.
There
There's
was
the 10-year
the guy
anniversary.
Who was, I forget what his name was. I don't know. The guy who played the officer in that one. Oh my god, me and Brian were
Javert.
like, huh?
Javert.
Oh my god. We were like, he's the best one I've ever seen. We were like, we love this man. That is a hard one to hit because it's not singing. It's
Yeah.
more like kind of like tonal inflection.
And
So it's like, people want to get mad that, Russell Crowe got that part and he tried to sing. I'm like, yo, he did his best
Yeah.
in that movie. Whereas it wasn't the best thing ever that came out. I'm not angry at him for it. He's not trained.
and
What do you
hysterically,
want?
the one song in it by an actual singer, awful. The John Legend song, can't stand it in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Which one? The
that's-
first
Start
one?
a fire. That's the
Yeah.
only one he has.
Oh, because
yeah.
there was the one where like he's like introducing him to the whole thing, and it did feel like uncomfortable, which was nice, because I felt like you actually felt how Ryan Gosling's.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you spend so much time with the character already being like, I love jazz. Jazz is my life. Jazz is everything. Everyone hates jazz, but I love jazz. Everyone should love jazz. And you're like kind of getting the feeling, and you're like, okay, because you're becoming like the girl and being like, okay, maybe I wasn't into jazz before, but now you're learning to appreciate the jazz, and now you're getting like this electro synth coming out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
And personally, I love that kind of music, but at the same time, it was like, oh, okay, no, this is very out of place. I hated
This
that.
doesn't fit this
Freestyling
movie.
with that was awful. But then they did the concert one, and I was like, this isn't horrible. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not what they want. But I'm
No,
like,
yeah.
this
The
isn't
look that she's
horrible.
giving him during that whole song is just like this is making you happy?
I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of rude of her, to be fair. I understand that they were pushing each other towards each other's dreams, but at the same time, he was right. He's like, she did bring up the question, like, well, how are you gonna buy the club?
Yeah.
So he found a lucrative gig, and
Yeah.
despite the fact that he may not have liked
Yeah,
it,
$1,000 a week.
1,000. He's like, does $1,000 a week sound good? Oh, I was
Yes.
like, yo, yes,
I'll take
give me
it.
the contract right now.
Yes.
Signing my soul away.
Yes.
But like, I found that part to be kind of rude on her part.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you're not happy. And I'm like, no, he's not. But sometimes you got to make money to get the dream going.
I agree with that too, and this is the first time I really noticed that during that fight scene. She really like starts that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like he comes, to surprise her and everything like that, and then she kind of like just like starts taking digs, like,
yeah.
so when are you gonna, stop this and start doing what you said you're gonna do? And he's like,
It's like, when I have the money to do it, that
Yeah.
club that he wants to buy, which I don't know if he actually ended up buying, he just started his own club, it looked like. The one he wanted to buy is like a historically, famous club. It's got historical value. It's not cheap.
yeah,
So to buy a club like that would be like
yeah.
a lot more than $1,000 a week. He'd have to be like the CEO of a company to try to get.
Yeah.
But she's over here like, me, when you're gonna stop doing it, follow your dream. It's like, unfortunately, it's like she's part of the sect of people who dream, that are like, just do it. But you can't just do it. As Tiana from Princess and the Frog says, it takes hard work and determination to make your dreams come true.
True.
And she's not seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think she sees it. It's just, and he also, when he says, like, can't you do the rehearsal from anywhere? Like, I feel like I've said stuff like that
I
to
was just-
significant others.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say it's
Yeah.
like it's a more realistic though look on relationships in
We've been there.
like it's not a relationship that you find in an actual musical.
Yeah.
Because there is that that drama, that tension, and then there's a happy ending by the end of the movie.
I feel
This did not have a happy ending, and I think that upsets me.
I don't think it had a conventional happy ending. I did a lot of soul searching after this movie. I did a lot of in-depth thinking after
And-
this
and
movie.
They're both
like,
happy. They're where they want to be, but
They're
Yeah.
sometimes there are
happy in their
compromises.
dreams.
Yeah.
Is the issue. It's like, they understood, and I think Ryan Gosling's character understood more than she did, is that realistically, he's like, I'll always love you, but if they're going in two different directions. And unfortunately, it was kind of a weird, the movie took place, for the, majority of the film, within a year.
Yeah.
Because, the seasons were going. And then all of a sudden we get, a 5-year skip. And do you know how robbed I felt at that moment when she's like, hi, honey, and it was a different guy, and I was like, hey, sorry, I'm going to be doing this a lot, but I'm like, I was so upset, and then I saw the kid, and I was like, oh, no. No.
I am gonna say with this movie, and I felt the same way with the first time I saw it, and this
So
time I
upset.
saw it, was that I didn't enjoy the ending. No matter how realistic it is, and no matter how it's like, this is, to me, this is a musical, and musicals have happy endings, and I felt robbed of the happy ending aspect of
There are
the musical.
plenty of tragic
But-
musicals.
but-
Bo the Genetic Opera.
Moulin Rouge.
Oh, Moulin Rouge.
That tears at me every time I see it.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweet Todd.
Depending
So-
on who you're.
I was
who
gonna
you're
say
talking
some
to.
might say it's a happy ending, but
It's
Yeah.
like, that guy's dead. But
I
that kid
mean-
lived with the trauma his entire
So
life.
I know it's just my opinion on it, which is fine. But yeah, I
No, I feel the same. I was like, I understood.
yeah, no, I
The
understood
ending?
it, but it's like
Uh-huh.
it's not the ending I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he uses the club name that she came up with. As soon as I saw that they were going to go to dinner, I was like, okay. Where it was predictable in a sense where you're like, oh, they have to meet up again.
Yeah.
Somehow, somewhere. That's just, they're talking about the stars and the stars shine, and so everyone's working on their thing. But as soon as you saw the sign for it, you kind of had a moment where you're like, oh, you feel like her. You're like, oh no,
Yeah.
let's go,
like,
let's
you
go.
kind of felt that anxiety almost. Like her facial expressions throughout the whole movie were just like you felt exactly what she was going. Like when she
Yeah.
was singing the audition song, like her face, like you could feel like what she's feeling, and then when she steps into that club that night, like you could feel like you're like, oh my god, I'm about to run into an ex,
Yeah.
like a serious ex, you
Yeah.
know, like
One that you probably haven't fully gotten over.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that, time does wear it off and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But at the same time, the way that they parted, it was one of those things where maybe he was more hopeful that, they would meet again.
Mhm.
She would see the club, they'd meet again and have their fateful meeting again.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be a jerk this time.
yeah.
And but it's weird, like my stepmother has this, like, things that she said about how relationships, like how I always respect, I really respect this kind of thinking too. It's like, you'll never feel the same love for someone twice.
Mhm.
It's like every person that you've been with, or like, a relationship that you'll have, will have always a different kind of love
Yeah.
than you'll have from the next person. So I have no doubt that the husband that she, ended up marrying and having a child with, it seems like she loved him very much.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I think that she had more of this passion, understanding of the other person's dreams and stuff like that, sharing that she doesn't have with her husband.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I don't know how soon she became a star.
Yeah.
Like whether it was in the year she got like accepted into the movies or something like that. But it looks like the kid is about like 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
No, I would say 5.
I don't know. I don't know kids anymore. The hormones in the milk. I don't know. But it looks like the kid is at least like 3.
The
I don't-
hormones.
hormones in the milk, Lewis.
Wow.
Listen, I don't believe. No,
It's
but
okay.
unless they have like what my family has, like the mutant growth gene with children where they just grow large. My stepfather's genes are like, my brother, I got to see him, is way taller than me, and he's only like starting high school.
Nice.
Oh God, he's still going.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Doesn't
I hated when it went back as to what the life could have been, and
So
I
that's
was
the
like,
best-
I feel wrong.
That's the
No,
best.
that's
part.
that's the best part, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though we get to see 2 different endings,
Mhm.
I wished that the what if scenario actually happened.
No, twist the knife. Twist the knife.
Yeah, I think that's
No.
unfortunately the way it ended is the only way it could have ended, because it wasn't a love story really. I mean, it was about them following their dreams, but his side of things, like I don't think we can make judgments about her husband,
No.
because we don't really get to see enough of them. Like, for all we know, he's very passionate about whatever he does too, and she's into that. But Gosling's kind of where he ended up, even though they tried to paint it like he's happy and everything like that.
I don't think he's ever gonna be happy.
The fact that he has to walk by her face and everything like he's tortured by her probably every day.
No,
Yeah.
He sees her.
Commercials.
She had no
radios.
idea like that he was there.
Yeah.
So his just seems a little more tragic to me.
Yes.
He's
But-
alone, and you can tell. The one thing about jazz is that, like, Brian really likes jazz. So the one thing I've learned, like, listening more to it and going to some clubs in the city, is one of those things that, like, you know, jazz is a very emotional, like, genre of music. It's like everybody, yes, they do. He's right, like, when he's teaching her about it. The whole point of, like, you know, people work together to make their own. They give each other the spotlight. But it's like learning how to jump in and, like, you know, take action. But at the same time, it's chaotic. It's no music notes, no sheet paper, no nothing. It's all freestyle, or at least the vast majority of it is very freestyle. And he's nothing but, if anything, like the embodiment of that chaotic and or emotional feeling that you get from jazz, and it's represented in, like, how he felt during, like, the very first scene, like, you know, when he's doing the Christmas one, where he's like, oh god, I hate this, but then he goes into, like, a chaotic, like, spiral, and you kind of feel how angry he is, and it has to be let loose. But when he sees her, he plays the tune that I think is attributed to her. Every time we see her, that little tune plays, and he just plays it for a while, it seems, and it's kind of weird, and everyone's in the crowd like, why? I think it shows how the longing, because it starts off as being kind of this, I think that's just how the tune is. It's just, it has a very longing feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's something missing.
Yeah.
And that they're pining. And it's, I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
It appears Emma Stone pines to be an actress. She pines for him. She pines for this future that they're clearly not going to have. He's pining for her. He pines for the jazz community as a in general. But I think ultimately coming back at the end shows that whereas they achieved the things they wanted, they didn't get what they truly, maybe not needed, but
Desired.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's a very lonely feeling ending,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, Joe said it best before, I think, when he said melancholy. It's a very
Yeah.
Yeah.
melancholy film. But that montage at the end, I mean, you know, that's really just such a magical. Magical is another good word for this film. Like the whole movie kind of feels like a dream, and when you get back to that moment where when she saw him in the club, and then instead of brushing by her, he kisses her. Like the first time I saw it in theaters, like people actually like applauded. Like people were like so into it.
Yeah.
And then my favorite thing is that home footage stuff at the end of the montage. I think it's just so moving. And Chazelle tried to do the same thing in First Man, and it was a swing and miss. But with this, it's just like everything was just so well thought out and so just hit the nail on the head with everything. I mean, it was really just so well put together.
You know, the camera work a bit here. I think my favorite scene with the camera work was you get, as we said, a very similar feel for the majority of the film, but there's one particular scene where it stops and you're set back around. Is with the argument. Is how the camera work is done versus Joe was saying it feels very glidey.
Yes.
Through most of the majority of the film, except that scene, it's very glidey, you know, because it's portraying this musical, you know, kind of a weird modern mixed with old-timey feel, which at first I was like, hold on. She has an iPhone. That scene alone, I think, broke kind of like character for the entire movie, if not for a second to show the seriousness. I always love the camera work when there's a serious, like, really, like, intense moment, and they do that kind of shaky, like, oh no, here we go, and like the cake is burning or whatever he was making, and the camera gets up and the colors are muted. Everything's awful.
Yeah.
it's like that weird unhealthy dose of reality right there. I did like the play of colors in this one. I liked the vibrant. I like that they made real areas seem like built sets
Yes.
in a lot of these, which was very interesting.
I don't know how, but they did it.
It's definitely a good transition they did, because I think many of these were built sets, like when they're doing the dancing portions, definitely so. Or there's like a backdrop, something going on, or like maybe a green screen. I have no idea, because I know when it came to the piano parts, part of it was him actually learning. There was also a hand double or CGI used for like the close-ups of his hands playing. So, I don't know. This guy's just a whiz with general effects. I don't know. Whoever did the effects was great. I did like the dresses. Those are very nice.
I like the dresses.
I like the dresses.
It's just as pretty.
Also, I got very upset during the scene when they were in the LA party. Like, I think it was the second scene you see her in. She's like, her friends are like, come over, come to the party. First off, that Ryder guy, annoying. Always that character. But these people started jumping into the pool, and there was one guy who had like a glittery like blazer, and he just jumped in the pool, and I'm like,
Blazer's ruined.
it's ruined. Your suit's ruined. Your suit's ruined. It's LA. You're probably rich, but I'm like,
The pool could be ruined.
the pool can be drained and cleaned, but that suit can't. It's done. It's gone.
That suit's over.
It's over. And he's gonna have to get up out of there. I'm like,
Carry it home with him.
carry it home with it, or just throw it away at that point. Now he's got no clothes.
Yeah.
That could be his house.
Walking
I
around
don't
LA
know.
Maybe that was his plan all along.
Oh, LA party. I also liked the little detail. I looked at their feet a lot. I'm not a feet person. But after the scene where they first kind of sit with each other for a lovely day, she like takes her shoes off to put on the tap shoes that I could barely hear any tapping come from. During that scene, I could barely hear any tapping. I was kind of upset. I tried to turn up the volume too. Could not hear tapping. I could hear like, that was all I could hear. And I was just like, it's either just the concrete and tap shoes suck on concrete, or it's just, I cannot hear any of the tapping. There is no tapping going on with these shoes. But I noticed that like in the scenes following like, the next season when they start dating, that she wears them all the time. Mm-hmm. She doesn't wear her normal like little heels anymore. She's changed into these dancing shoes, and they're in like almost every scene until like he leaves. And she kind of wears them for a little bit, and then they kind of just finish.
And then 5 years later, she's in the black heels.
And then she's back in heels. I don't know. I thought that was a little symbolic.
Yeah.
Of that, like, jittery, fluttering feeling they had for their passions. Also, I relate to Ryan Gosling's character a little bit. He's a nerd. He's a jazz nerd. I've definitely talked Brian's ear off like several times about like my anime obsession. So it's like, no, you don't understand. All the time.
No way. I don't believe it.
It's like, you don't understand. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Historical relevance, blah, 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 blah. It's like him with science, too. You gotta talk my ear off about science and how this guy did this one thing in physics. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I feel like I think they're very relatable, though.
They both are. They really
love
are.
talking people's ears off about the things that we love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hoping they'll get it.
Yeah. Just two relatable characters, a relatable relationship, really.
Yeah.
Especially at that time period of people's lives, where you're kind of in between things.
Trying to figure it out as you go.
And realistic in that it doesn't always work out.
Yep.
It doesn't always work out, despite how much you like each other.
Now, originally Emma Watson was going to be Mia, but she turned down La La Land to do Beauty and the Beast.
Uh-huh.
And Ryan Gosling actually turned down Beauty and the Beast to do La La Land.
Interesting.
Good call on Gosling's
Yes.
part.
I also saw
Smart
that
guy.
Emma Stone also turned down a role for this movie as
Yeah,
well.
she
Everyone just dropped
turned down
everything.
something. Yeah, I forget what she turned down.
Yeah, there were some scheduling conflicts I saw.
Yeah.
So.
Miles
Well, no.
Teller was originally in Gosling's role.
He was.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's a very handsome man. Except he's got this eyebrow thing.
Why
I
would
realized.
you say something so controversial, Amanda?
Although he's got this weird eyebrow thing. You know the thing like The Rock does? Like old WD used to do the eyebrow thing? He's got like perpetual like eyebrow up. And it's
eyebrow raise?
It makes him look
Does
sassy
he?
constantly.
Oh.
Like throughout this entire movie, he's got like his eyebrow up. It's like he's like
True,
perpetually sassy. He's just got a sassy nature.
He's
about
an
him.
outstanding like comedic actor. Like
He's right here.
he doesn't get enough credit for like how funny he actually is.
Just. I don't know if that was because I'm looking at pictures of him like on the run, like at the thing, and his eyebrows are straight again. Just for the movie, he's just constantly like.
Oh.
Also, dancing in a museum is very bad. How did they get into that museum at night? That's what I wanted to know. I was like, halfway through the little dance part, I was like, there was nobody here, and it is late at night. What time is? I'm like, who let you in? Did they just sneak into?
I think they snuck in. I was also like, those doors would not be left unlocked.
No.
That is a very nice observatory and a very nice looking little museum.
I like Griffith Observatory. That's
Look
very
at their
cool.
hours.
Of course you are.
Caffeinated Librarians on the road. Go to Griffith Observatory.
We
It
would
closes
need
at
to-
12 p.m. today, so
Wow.
no way it's open. What time
Oh yeah, no, they definitely.
No, I've
snuck
been there in the evening.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
They open
Yeah.
at 12 and they close at 10.
They still definitely snuck in though. I mean, the movie was at 10 o'clock at night.
It was,
Right.
wasn't. Oh, did you figure that out?
Yeah.
Did they say it was 10? Oh.
Yeah.
Also, you can bleep this out, Joe. Greg. I know that actor too. He's in American Horror Story. He is such a good actor.
Oh, is that Mia's boyfriend?
Yeah, Mia's boyfriend Greg, who they go to the dinner with, and
Yeah.
she's like,
His brother is the worst. Like just answering the phone in Chinese and being like oh, like thinking
this
he's
is
this
very
hot shot.
show-offy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
ugh, there's no passion in this conversation. They're just talking about business and what's going on. Small talk.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. She's gone. She's gone. No. But like, Greg.
Agreed.
Didn't know anything about him. we didn't really understand their relationship.
I think that was the point.
I want to know. Give me a side story about Greg. What's going on with Greg? What's he into? What's his job? What's his finances? What's his
I lied,
passion?
too.
Money.
Yeah.
That's okay. Good for you.
I mean, so long as you use it for good and not for evil.
It's the fun of that.
Subjective.
I guess so.
Pay off my student debts.
Oh,
Who
we all
knows?
need to do that.
One day. One day. So, I don't know. I had a little bit of a sit down with myself after this movie. And it made me cry after the fact because I was like, I'm getting too deep into my thoughts.
Oh, poor Amanda.
I don't know. It is hard because as a child, you have these big dreams, or like
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. I was wishy-washy. I was like, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I said, no. Zookeeper, no. Then
I wanted to be both of those things, and I realized I had to be really smart in math and science. I'm not really smart in math and science, so I
didn't even
pivoted.
get that far. I just felt bad seeing animals in pain, and I was like, I don't want to see that. That was it. I was like, also now I know it's a very hard career to go into.
It is, yeah.
Zookeeper, on the other hand, I was like, I want to play with animals all day. I want to play with the bats. But no, don't do that. Going into like animation was something I really wanted to do. But when I found out the animation I wanted to do is basically dead, I was like, oh well. So I'm not going to do computer animation. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do digital. I wanted to do hand-drawn, but Princess and the Frog was the last full hand-drawn animated movie. Besides, like, I think like animated series. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, the movies. it makes you very reflective, and
It made me too reflective. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh God, they want to follow their dreams. And I'm like, this sucks. And I was like, because either they just had to give up. It also, I felt her pain after her little play didn't work out. And you're just like, oh no. I'm like, maybe it wasn't that bad, but nobody cared. It's
Yeah.
LA too. You're also, people move to LA, people move to Texas, or people move to New York hoping that, they stay closer to these areas, then they might get discovered. And how
people
many-
also just suck. So like those two guys that she hears talking, like her play couldn't have been that bad if the woman and the casting director in the audience thought she was good enough for the audition.
Yeah.
So like people just like it's a harsh reality of just how
You
the
work
world
hard,
around you kind of
yeah.
is just brutal.
But
People are
it's also
mean.
inspiring in a sense to encourage
yeah.
people that you falter
Yeah.
and you either live with that for the rest of your life and decide
Or
to
you
get consumed by the sadness you felt that it didn't work out, or
Or
you
you
keep going.
Pick yourself up and try again.
That's what I liked about their relationship is even after they had that big fight, he goes all the way to her house. First off, how did he figure out which library to go
She
to?
told him
She just said it was the house in front of a library.
in Boulder
Yeah,
City.
if
in
you
Boulder
know the
City.
town,
That's true,
That,
that's true.
narrows it down.
Fair enough. But I like that even though they were kind of on this split that they had, whether they were broken up or just in the fight still, it was one of those things where he got up and he could have not told her.
He was gonna be
Yeah.
there for her. Yeah.
He was always going to be there. I think they both understood who they were, and she encouraged him to make money despite, not wanting to be a synth pianist.
Yeah.
And also, John Legend, beautiful singing voice as always. I still love him. And despite the fact that the music wasn't like to my liking, he's still a beautiful singer in general. He's a very pretty person, too. His wife, gorgeous, too. Everything about his wife, gorgeous.
The last thing I want to really bring up is something kind of near and dear to my heart. So I don't want to get too emotional on you guys, but
It's okay. I was tempted to come in here with a box of tissues because of how in-depth I really thought about this movie.
But Samba Tapas? Really? Like, who would go to somewhere like that?
No, I've never had a tapas.
I would go.
Keep me
Yeah, Samba Tapas.
I love tapas.
I love tapas, but what's
Tapas.
the samba have to do with
I
it?
guess they're just playing samba music. I like samba music.
Get rid of the jazz, put in the samba.
I don't know. I don't know. Did I ever tell you guys? I think I probably have told you the time we went to the tapas place in Boston and it was like a Michelin star restaurant.
Oh, no.
Did I tell you guys about that?
Probably not.
It was for Luisa's birthday, and she celebrated.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Go, Luis.
And so they brought tapas. They bring little plates, and they brought this little eggplant rollatini. She goes, and I'm like,
I love her already. I've never met her. I love her, though.
yeah. I was like, wow, what a woman. Yeah.
If you're not saying that to your woman, if she does that, who are you?
I don't know.
Disgusting. Red flag.
But anyway, thank you guys for watching this wonderful film. Emma Stone won an Oscar for it.
She did.
Ryan Gosling won a Golden Globe for it. It briefly won Best Picture. So yeah, just a really good movie that makes you think and reflect
And does a good job at showcasing the musical genre, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, thank you for watching, and
Yes.
insert something funny here.
Mhm.